Welcome to Hot Hero Sandwich with Loretta Lynn, Leonard Nimoy, and Richard Pryor. In conversation with Tom Cottle.
Mommy pulled a real good trick on us. She seen somebody smoking in the barnyard. We had a breezeway that went through the barnyard. I don't know if you've ever seen a barn made with a kind of like a breezeway that goes through it. Well, Marie had got some smoking tobacco somewhere. I don't know where she got it, but I was going to try it with her. And so I tried it with Marie. And so when I got to the house, Mommy asked me if said, who was that smoking? And I said, I didn't know. But she knew that me and Marie was out there. So she got me out behind Marie, and she said to Marie, Marie, Loretta told me that you were smoking in the barn. Is this true? She said, now, did she tell you that? Mommy said, oh, yeah. She told me that you were smoking, and she said she was smoking, too. So Mommy gave me a switching, you know. Wore me out.
It's very hard being a kid. It really is. Because nobody knows you're a person. You're not a person until you start shaving or, you know what I mean? Or earning money or driving a car. And you don't count. If you go to school and do grades, you're cute. Isn't it nice? Straight A's. But if nobody is not being a person, it was just like you were a kid forever. You know what I mean? You got 12 and you got 13 was the worst age in the world. 13, you know what I mean? I hated 13. I wanted to be 4. I said I was 14. I wouldn't even be 13. I just hated the number 13. Ugh.
Were you hit by your parents?
You know, I was just thinking about that. I don't remember to this day either of them ever hitting me. I know they did. I know they did at times, but I don't remember to this day a specific incident where I was hit, spanked, slapped. Somehow I've managed to make believe it never happened.
Hot Hero Sandwich will return after these messages. We now return to Hot Hero Sandwich.
I wonder, were you the sort of child that always had fantasies, daydreams, thoughts, images running around in his mind?
Make-believe? Make-believe, yeah. We used to play with sticks and they were people, popsicle sticks. And my grandmother, when we moved, she had a bunch of records upstairs, old Doris Day records, and I go upstairs and, yeah, listen to those. And imagine I was in a play, and imagine I was in Hollywood.
Age 8, fairly early on with this Hansel and Gretel production, you began acting. Where do you suppose that desire came from?
In a play, somebody says something to you to which you'd like to have a response, and the author has given it to you. And you know exactly what that person is going to say to you. And you know exactly when he and she is going to say it to you. And you know exactly what you are going to respond with. So you're never in one of those situations that you are in real life where you walk away from a confrontation and say, oh, I wish I had thought to say, you know, so I could really have told him or her. The playwright, if the character is supposed to have that opportunity, the playwright has given you that opportunity. So it's safe. It's secure. You don't have to worry about whether or not you'll think of the right thing to say or do.
Those moments on stage for me were the greatest moments in the world, right? And just being up there and people accepted me. And what I did, it was good. And I wanted to do better. I just always wanted to do better. And one time I was reading Jet magazine and Dick Gregory came along. You know, got discovered. It was on television all the time. So then I knew that there was other possibilities.
When I was growing up, you know, I never dreamed of ever being a singer. I always liked to sing, you know, like rocking the babies and stuff. But I never dreamed, because that dream was just too big. I would never have dreamed a dream that big, you know, as being a singer. And I was in the state of Washington. Me and my husband moved out there right after I got married. And this was after I had the first four kids. And he come home one day and he said, Loretta, I've listened to the radio and there's girl singers out there that can't sing any better than you can. And he said, they're out there making money. He said, I'm going to see what I can do with your singing. He said, there's a little country band that plays not too far from here on Saturday night. Says, we'll go listen to them. And I said, okay, which tickled me to death because at that time I never got to go any place, you know. And with 4 little kids, how can you? So he, on Saturday night, he got me a babysitter, and we went to the little country dance. And we got there. He got a couple of bottles of beer, and got a little too much to drink, got a little loud, and went up to the bandstand, and kept hollering, hey, next to Kitty Wells, I've got one of the greatest country girl singers here in the world. Said, I want you to let her get up and sing. And I took off running, and as I started to leave out, I looked back, and one of them says, we don't let nobody get up and sing here. So this is a rule that we make, nobody gets up on the stage to sing. And as the night went on, he got worse and worse and worse. Finally, one of them said, now listen, if this girl is as good as you say she is, you bring her over on Wednesday night. Said, we tape a half-hour country music show. And said, we play it back on the radio on Saturday. Said, we'll put her right on the radio. And I think that they figured he'd forget all about this, you know. Wednesday night come along, and he come in from work and looked at me and said, are you ready? And I said, no. He said, get that way. And I did. We went over to the musician's home, and when we got there, I think they were just kind of disappointed because we come, you know. They really acted like they didn't know what they'd gotten themselves into. And one of them said, what do you want to sing? And I only knew one song that I could sing all the way through. And I said, there he goes. They said, what key do you sing that song in? And I said, I don't know. So they hit a key, and I just hung on. The next morning, they come over at my house and hired me to sing with them every Saturday night for $5. And, man, I saved my money, and I bought me a hat, white boots, a black skirt with big long white fringe, and a black shirt with big red roses. Annie Oakley would have been ashamed to have stood up beside of me. And I headed for Nashville, Tennessee.
And I was told that there was a man who was now going to direct a group of plays at the Peabody Playhouse who was talented, who had a theatrical background. And that was kind of unusual. Typically, it would be some local volunteer would direct the plays, but he was casting Awake and Sing by Clifford Odets. And I was cast as Ralphie. And the show was very well received, very successful. The night my parents came to see it, I went out for a cup of coffee with the rest of the cast immediately afterwards, which was typical. We would sit and talk about notes and problems, things to be fixed and changed and so forth. And then I got home as quickly as I could to find my parents sitting in the kitchen with a glass of milk and a piece of sponge cake waiting for me. They had seen the performance that night. And they asked me if I wanted some milk and sponge cake, or did I want a sandwich, or what would you like to eat? I thought, this is really strange. Really strange. I thought, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe they didn't come tonight. Maybe they didn't see the show. Well, I talked about other things for as long as I could bear it. And there were long periods of silence. And then finally I said, did you see the play tonight? And they said, yeah. Silence. Well, what did you think? That's nice. Nice. I said, well, is that all? Oh, no, the lady who played your mother, she's very good. Very good. Well, I think I understood that they were trying not to be supportive. They were trying not to be encouraging because they didn't want me to take this business seriously.
What would you have liked your parents to say?
Just say, that's a nice piece of work. Just, that's good. You did that good. That's all. You did that good. The first time that I can really remember my parents responding that way to a piece of work that I did was after I had been away from home for a number of years, had done the Star Trek series, had done the Mission Impossible series, and came back to the Massachusetts area to play Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof. That time I got him. I really got him.
Hot Hero Sandwich will return after these messages. We now return to Hot Hero Sandwich.
When I was young, I guess I had what you call sexual drive. And none of the other kids seemed to understand that. You know what I mean? I wanted to get it on with somebody, you know. Nobody else, they like to kiss a lot. Don't do nothing. I mean, if you touch them, they go, you know. So I had problems there, you know.
I felt that others were ahead of me, other guys were ahead of me, that other guys my age were having experiences that I was not having yet, that might range from wet dreams to actual physical experiences with girls, or even just kissing girls. I thought that there were guys doing that, and I wasn't doing it yet, you know. Not that I thought that there was anything necessarily wrong with me about it. I was fairly confident that I would eventually get to do what they were doing.
Most of them lying.
Yeah, right. I was helped into the first couple of dating situations by these guys who were peers of mine and who were seeing girls who had established some kind of relationship with a girl. And then, well, she's got a cousin. You know, would you like to come to see a movie with us Saturday night or something? And the first time into a movie house, and that whole amazing thing that I think just goes on and on forever, which is at what point in the movie, you don't see the movie, you know, at what point in the movie do I get to, or should I put my arm around the back of her chair very nonchalantly? I don't mean to touch her, I'm just looking for a place to put my arm, you know. Walking home, do you take her by the hand? If it accidentally happens to hit, you know, sometimes those things are electric experiences. It's frightening. It's like a shock when the knees touch for the first time in the movie house or another day. You know, like that, you know.
I'd never kissed a boy. So he was going to kiss me goodnight. See, I started running on in the house. And he said, hey, wait a minute. And he kissed me goodnight. Well, naturally, I was really all excited, and I just took the pine torch right on in the house. And when I got in the house, I was singing away, you know, so happy. And he come to see me the next night. Had this great big place on his head, great big knot, and it had been bleeding, and it was. And I said, well, what happened? He said, well, I turned around to walk away last night, and I was taking these big long steps. I was so happy, you know, because I got to kiss you and everything, and run right into the fence post. Hit it square on, you know, and just knocked him down.
We now return to Hot Hero Sandwich.
Were you seeing fights too, families fighting?
Yeah, a lot of ugly. That was a part I didn't like. It scared me. If my mother and father would fight.
They did?
It would scare me.
Would they hit each other?
Yeah.
Really go after each other?
Yeah. And I'd jump in. Sometimes my father beat me up one time. So I jumped in, you know. He said, you're beating up my mother, you know. And he said, he slapped me, you know, knocked me down. He said, this is my wife.
I have that right to do it then.
No, I don't know. But it just made me feel that, oh, excuse me. I guess it ain't enough she's my mother, she's your wife, you know.
I think it's wonderful if you could be decent, you know. I just think it's wonderful. And I think it's wonderful you're going to have a little grace. Give something away once in a while that you don't need to give away in a competition or in a negotiation where, you know, both sides feel that they have the right, and you give something a little bit that might, at the moment, you might feel like you're losing something, but you're not, you know. What's the difference in the long run? You'd probably forget about it. If you can just be gracious and decent, I think that's terrific.
Oh, I was so homesick when I left, you know. I got so homesick, I would cry, you know, and I was gone like 7 months before I went back home. And the first time, 7 months. But then we turned around and went right back to the state of Washington. When I get a letter from Mommy and Daddy, I cry and cry, you know. And I still have things that Mommy and Daddy sent me. Like Mommy sent me a card on my birthday with a little ballerina dancer. And around the little dress, you know, the little short dress, had little fuzzy feathers, you know, and it was glued onto the card. I thought that was the prettiest thing.
Little things, a small statement, a note, a tiny little toy meant a great, great deal to you, didn't they?
I think probably maybe the little things is what counts. Don't you?
I think so.
The little things is what makes the big thing. Now that's an idea for a song.
Hot Hero Sandwich. We'll be back after these messages.